I can say to him. Okay, so we're here with Jordy Grow, 33, right?
Yeah.
I did my research.
Yeah.
Not a lot of research to do when you're not super famous, right? I could have Googled you. I could have found out something more.
I'm sure there's stuff out there.
Like a nude thing?
Yeah, somewhere, but
so?
I don't know if they ever made it online.
What's your face showing, or just the dick?
Oh, everything, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man.
Well, I could have looked that up, and then we could have talked more about that. So.
Yeah.
But you're in the Lowdown Out.
That's right.
How do I know that?
Yeah.
And BANGover.
That's right, man.
And I just wanted to talk to you about absolutely.
Yeah, it sounds like a good day.
Yeah,
you know? That's
like what we
Friday,
normally do.
man.
And it's Friday.
Yeah.
We're here at the Buzz Mill.
Yeah.
It's a semi-beautiful day.
Yeah.
Semi. A little hungover.
Semi going through in the background, too.
Okay, so your tale, which I wanted to talk to you because I thought it was kind of fascinating. It's like the tale of like you're the guy that left a small town with just his guitar on his back and like a hope and a dream and go to this, it's not a big city, but go to this musical place where you can kind of grow a little bit more than from where you were.
Poor man's grad school is what I thought of it. And instead of paying some institution a whole bunch of money, you're already paying rent, you're already buying food, you're already doing that. How about you buy into that, you invest in yourself in that sense, instead of some person to tell you if you have the smarts, and ultimately if you go to a class long enough, you'll pass. Doesn't mean you know it.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't retain like people that take Spanish, can't speak good Spanish.
No,
not fluently.
Well, unless they became a teacher,
4 years,
right?
Well, yeah, maybe.
Spend some time out there. I mean, there is some benefits. I'm not going to say it's completely for some, but it's
true.
But yeah, a lot of people, how much do they really retain from their foreign language class if they're not actually using it in everyday life? You know?
Yeah, I would think music classes in some way, theory, right?
Yeah,
I would want to do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I had music theory classes when I played trumpet back in middle school and high school, and I wanted to play guitar, but they wouldn't let me play guitar in the band because you had to play trumpet in the band, and then you could play guitar in this band. And I was like, well, fuck you, I'm gonna play guitar anyways.
You just quit trumpet?
And I quit trumpet, so I was able to get like a idea of the music and concept of the notes, the whole, the theory side of that, see that, and then, but I started playing what I wanted to play, and it was a small town in Wisconsin, and there was only 600 people, 650 in the whole high school where I was at, and I would play in the hallway for lunch money.
Acoustic?
Acoustic and electric. I had that little amp, I forget what, some Radio Shack amp I had just to amplify it, and
right on the belt.
Yeah. Well, no, it was like a 110 or something like that. Just speaker and whatnot, and it's solid state. And then I had a Mark II to start out, but then I had my Epiphone Les Paul was my first legit guitar. So I would
real guitar.
Yeah, I would play in the hallway and get my lunch money, put that out until the vice principal took all my money, and he said no soliciting in public places, and
especially in your own school.
I mean, hey, rock and roll, man. I can't help it.
You're that guy that brought the guitar to school where I'm just like, this guy.
Yeah.
Probably got a lot of chicks though because of it.
It did help, and I remember the first time getting chick because of guitar, and I was like, oh, okay, I might as well keep on practicing. This is working out, man.
Hey, I got something.
Yeah.
To offer.
If anything, this is pretty handy.
Yeah.
So
it's getting you laid.
Yeah.
So.
But it was good in that, but Wisconsin only had so much in a music scene, especially in northern Wisconsin, and I didn't like winter, so I had to pack up and move down, and that was end of 2008, October of 08, I got here in Austin. I just got into town.
Did the same thing, just playing money, like guitar on the side of the streets?
I didn't do too much busking or anything like that. I saved up a whole bunch from when I worked at a brew pub up there, Titletown Brewery.
Oh, cool.
In Green Bay. And man, it was saved all that money, sold DVDs, and I sold shit I didn't need because I just needed clothes.
Yeah.
I needed pillows so I could sleep on something, right? Some books, my guitar, an amp. That was
it.
That was it.
Wow.
And I had enough to do a first and last month's rent that I saved for anything. I ended up not too far from where the Buzz Mill is now here in Austin. It's over there on University Estates, Crossing Place. Is somewhere to live.
Yeah.
I didn't know anybody at all.
I've been over there quite a bit.
Yeah, and
a few times.
It had an interesting flow to it, but
was it scary at all? Just like going on that whim, not knowing, but you seemed pretty confident when you.
Yeah,
like, you
I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew that like at the end of the day, like you can always go back home, right? But
I guess
I'm still here now, and I don't have any intention on leaving. It's just you find your niche eventually. It took a minute. Like the first, you don't know anybody, you don't know where to go, who's in the scene, who plays, what bands are worth seeing out of these ones that you're just seeing names.
Yeah,
and
this
navigating
is like 2008 too, so it's not
end of
easy.
08, early 09 was like the first year, if you will, navigating like that. And I just missed out on ACL, so I got into town, and everybody who I met who was in here was all talking about ACL and all that stuff and all hyped on. I think it was Santa Gold. They were all freaking out. I'm like, what the hell? What did I move into? I thought this was this rocking place. I mean, these guys were cool. The first friends we met here, I hired them at the first job I got here, right? It was this pizzeria that doesn't exist anymore, and this guy had a weed sticker on his wallet. When he pulled it out, I was like, oh, I need to hire this guy. I think he's going to be a friend, right?
I think we just became friends.
Yeah, man. And
found a common interest.
Yeah, exactly. And he was one of the first cat who took it in, who took me in and whatnot. And he's Adam Galvan. He's in Ex-Romantica, Hong Kong Wigs now. He played in Tiny Purple Fishes.
Hong Kong Wigs, that's a good name.
Yeah, that is. They're recording
one.
Some stuff now too.
So they're still going.
The album's going to come out. Yeah, that's one of his side projects.
Wow.
He was a music person. He had a good connection on weed. He had good friends. They were all really cool. And yes, the rest is history, I guess.
That was like your link in.
That's how I finally found like a pack to run with for a second. You know what I mean? Like at least to get in here, see where places are, find out where it is. And at that time too was TC's Lounge. TC's Lounge is now the Sahara Lounge, right?
Love it.
Was just the coolest place. It still is the coolest place because of the history.
It has that energy, right?
It's in the wood.
It's in the wood. Yeah.
It's in the speakers. It's in the scent.
It's
in
something
the dirt.
about it. Never sounded so good at any other venue I've ever played at. Just
history.
Straight perfect.
Yeah.
Never even a sound guy when we play there. We always just like cue it up just a little bit.
There's a
and
guy
then
who plays with the knobs and whatnot. He
played
takes
there
care of it.
twice before.
Yeah.
We played there, and no sound guy.
No,
but it was
was,
still fun because we set it, and it's still like it was. I remember it was like December 5th, and it was raining, like freezing cold.
Yeah, it wasn't the best weather, but it was a fun.
Yeah.
It still was Sahara Lounge. It was still a fun night.
And I didn't think anything of it until we started playing, and then every song just seemed to like flow a little bit better, and the sound was there.
Yeah.
Don't even have a monitor back there, but something I could still hear.
It's
all
naturally
the pieces,
good,
right?
Yeah,
so good.
And it has
Love
that
it.
juke joint feel. That's the thing I really dig about it. It really is authentic, like juke joint. The history, the energy there is just out of this world, in the sense that too, it has that music energy. Everybody's had their good time, so you just let it yourself go. Spirit hits you. You're in it. You're going. You're rocking it. Just play it, and it'll be fun.
I think that's a place to record at.
Yeah.
That would be ideal.
And we're lucky enough. Yeah, June 13th we're playing there too, so that'll be a fun spot. But I mean, that's why I like playing there, is because of the history I had at TC's and Monday Blues going down. It was the dirtiest blues. Bars packed with everybody, dressed to the nines. Dude like me can find some friends, some lady friends out there, and it was a good
Dude
time.
like me.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, like, it's like everybody's having a good time. It's blues, and this is you came to get down, and if you didn't, then what are you doing here? Go home,
Yeah.
And that was tons of fun, but that was also some good musician groups showing me like here's the cool spots and hearing some great players every night, showing them how to shake it on down, you know. And they were doing Lil Elmore James blues band. They're doing like 3-4 hour dirty blues.
Whoa.
Slaying it all
Just
night.
sweating, dude.
All night.
Yeah,
And no air.
that's what it is. It's all the sweat and blood in that wood.
Bring your own booze. They had beer and they had this set up. Yeah, it was done. It was tons of fun.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Want to blow that place out one day.
Yeah.
Just pack it to the gills.
Yeah, man.
On a good summer day.
Yeah, you want it hot in there. You need to sweat sometimes. That sweating's good, you know. It's good in there.
Play some
gets
dancing songs.
Yeah, man.
Dancing songs. So what was the first band that you started?
Band was Incorrigible 7. We came in, and that was with Adam and his brother Abel and Iram. They're all in Ex Romantica now, but we just had a handful of gigs at, I think, Trophies. If not with them, it was with Don the Revolution, which was the band that came after. We played down by campus and whatnot, down in UT and stuff, and like bars out there, but nothing was great. Waterhole Saloon, played that place with Incorrigible.
Played that place before?
Yeah, with Incorrigible 7, and we opened up for this band called Redneck Jedi. And,
oh right.
Yeah, they were awesome. They had that song I told you about. This is one of our new ones, and they start playing Last Dance with Mary Jane, but they just switch all the lyrics around. I'm like, you motherfuckers, I know what you're doing there. You can't say this is your new one.
Was it a joke, or were they?
I think they were
just like,
man,
oh fuck.
Maybe they weren't. I don't know. And if they're
sounds
listening
good.
and they find out, I mean, no, I dig it. It was good, but I was like, hey, that's Last Dance with Mary Jane.
Some famous bands.
Yeah,
like,
man.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, Tom Petty has a.
He's a great man.
Yeah,
I wish
so
I
many
could
good
write a
ones.
song like Tom Petty. Shit,
Yeah,
man.
just one.
Just
right?
one. You know. That's what it would take.
Finally make some money doing this.
Yeah, well, you know, at least eat, right?
So
yeah.
wait, what was the name of that band? Dawn and the Revelators?
No, Don the Revolution.
Don
right,
Revolution.
DON the Revolution, right?
Yeah.
And
that was your band?
that was one that I helped start with this guy named Dave, and he had this Led Zeppelin look to him, like long blonde
Cool.
hair. He was the singer because he was a good singer.
Like a good singer?
Or Doug it was Doug Frazier. I had a cross synapse there.
Oh,
you know? Last night kind of had me, so forgive me, Doug. But yeah, Doug was the singer, and we had this cat named Mike on drums, a couple different bass players, but Dave was the one who played at Trophies with us, and I think we had like a couple South by shows in like 09 or 10, somewhere in that time. So that was, you know, my first little taste of like getting South by. And granted, it was Carousel Lounge and like restaurants, but you're playing shows around that time. That was the goal. You just gotta be out there and people seeing you.
Yeah, play pretty much everything you're given.
Yeah.
At some point. I mean,
Anything.
seems to be the motto.
Yeah, especially early on.
yeah.
I think especially early on because you gotta get used to playing different rooms. Playing outside as opposed to in a small venue has different sound qualities that if you're not anticipating on, it can really throw you off with monitor stuff. And if you don't know until you do those things, you know, and play those things and learn. Oh shit, that's why. You know, I'm still learning every time, but that's, you know, it's like those kind of things. So it helps. Every little bit helps.
Yeah.
You know.
You know, I was thinking the other day. I was like, I'm so stern about, or just completely obsessed with not making a mistake on stage and not allowing myself to make a mistake.
Yeah.
And I think I just have to accept that I am going to make a mistake, or just make the mistake so I can like learn from it, because you can't be perfect, right? And if you don't make mistakes, then you can never be actually better, and you can't go out there just starting off and just be perfect right away, right? I mean, that doesn't make sense.
No, and that's how you get
some
perfect.
musicians, I'm sure,
That's how
but
you get perfect, because you know what not to do as well.
Right? So
And
like
two,
try some things,
happy mistakes,
maybe.
Bob Ross theory, right? So, it was a fuck up in your mind. It was a mistake in your mind, but the way it sounded to people who heard it for the first time, or even the band, that sounded pretty badass. That was the missing link.
Yeah.
And, you know, and that can also be a good thing too, you know.
Sometimes the mistakes are better than what you're actually trying to create.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, you've been playing it the same way, and it grooves, but maybe it's not what you someone's missing. There's that little something, and then you just played it this one way just because you were trying it a new way, and in your mind, that was a mistake. I shouldn't have done it. But the way it really came out as an audience, as somebody who's not thinking of the song, it sounds great, as far as perspectives go,
I like after practice thinking about a particular song that maybe I was like, I feel like it could be better, and just letting it roll in my head over like for hours. And like I don't listen to music afterwards. I'm just driving to work in silence, just thinking about that song. And then, like the beginning for Detroit Steel.
Yeah.
I just let it roll in my head, and then I was just like,
Which
I mean, like it
evolved.
How does it flow? How does it flow? How does it flow? How should it flow? How should it flow? Right?
And then it evolved the song to really become overall. It just keeps on getting better and better. And like that's the thing. Like when you see these bands, they're able to really like work on perfecting their overall sound, their overall presence and presentation of playing those songs, right?
Yes.
And when you see really kicking bands or really tight bands, because they've been doing the grind, they got it down, they know what to put out there and rock the house,
Yeah, I know how to do it perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I believe doing it every night and not having the day job. I don't want to complain, but I'm just saying.
Hey, if
that's
you
why
can do it,
that's why we're fighting right now, right?
Yeah,
and that's why
if you can do it,
we're even talking about doing this, talking about it because we care about this.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, we decided to do this, and
it's fun, and
it's fun.
And two, I mean, you want to be the change you wish to see, right?
Yeah.
You want, if you want rock and roll out there, if you want to have like these awesome bands and the scene, well, then you gotta go and play songs. You gotta do it in front of people. You gotta show up there, and you gotta be a part of it and have fun with it. And it's a dirty job. Yeah. Someone's got to do it, right? And
you gotta sing and dance in front of people.
Yep. Shake your ass, Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah, I know.
So I mean.
Double entendre.
But at the same time, you're having fun doing what you want to be doing, and if you can find a balance in that, working and doing it, that's great. But obviously, if you could do that, and it's getting your food, and you're keeping your lights on, you're not on the highway.
That's what they say, right?
You're not, that's a hell of a job, just asking people for money,
Yeah. Yeah.
Granted, for everyone who needs it, You gotta ask who don't,
Well, I always found fascinating this is how you describe songs. Like, the words that you use, way different from anyone I've ever played with, because it'd be more like telling me notes or the structure form. You tell me and feel an idea of where it's going for. Like, so for instance, like, describe like Detroit Steel. You know what I mean? Like,
I always said like the riff is kind of like pistons moving. The drum is steel belts on the asphalt kind of mentality rolling down the road, and a badass old Chevrolet, Ford Mustang V8 muscle car, something with a big back seat. So if you do need to stop somewhere, you can take care of what you need to. Driving movies and whatnot, you look the best. You're a highway star. What Deep Purple is singing about, being a highway star, rolling down loud as hell, and the old American-made style. And I described the song to you, and the way you get your drum beat is like a car going and driving real hard and driving down the highway fast.
It helped a lot,
And we get to the breakdown. I try to picture like you're at the light and you're about to do a drag race real quick.
The roll.
And then the solo kicks off real fast, and like drag races, it's in and out. It takes care of it, and you rock it out, and that's one way. I mean, I do describe in keys where I need to. It's like it's this key, like with Ziggy, bass player, because he needs to know the actual key and notes and whatnot. But I also like to think in terms of how does it sound? How's the color of it sound? How does, what's the picture? What's the movie that's getting played in the audience's head if they're listening to it? What kind of feelings are you getting out of that? Because that's what music's always done in one way, shape, or form. People do it their own ways for their own things, and that's whether they know it or not. But that's one aspect of it.
Right.
And I think that helps give the idea of what the songs truly are, you know, and actually create the song what it is, the attitude, the feel. You know?
Yeah, try to bring the emotion to it.
Yeah.
That would make me think about the next part. It was like, because you describe it in such a way that's detailed and informed, is it hard to write lyrics? When you showed me your songs, there was like 50, and I was like, do you just constantly writing lyrics?
Yes and no. So yes,
Like the Jimi
like
Hendrix
lines.
thing just in the morning?
I'll do lines of ideas, and I try to think of it in terms of, is this like a pre-chorus? Is this actually like the hook? Is this going to be what the catch is and like the chorus of it all? Or is this just like something that is telling the story, right? So that's one process I'll use. Sometimes the song I created musically is telling me a story that I'm hearing out of it. I mine it for gold, if you will, of like, what is this song saying? And then I try to just say, you know, speak logically of how it would go. You know, you're not just, you know, saying the car's blue and then the bricks are red and going all the nonsense. You're actually trying to say like a story in there, and based on the theme that the music came out. So that's another method I'll do in that, you know, if you follow me in that sense.
Definitely.
And sometimes I have just a verse idea for a chorus, and that's it, and I sit on it for 4 months, and finally the rest comes to me and it gets finished. Sometimes I can write it in one sitting because it's all making sense at that time, and it's just firing off. It
just comes natural.
All of them, all methods work, and you got to be willing to work on all methods in that sense, right? Leave no stone unturned in that sense, because some songs don't force it. You know, if you force it, it sounds weird. It sounds weird, and you can tell it ultimately at the end of the day, where it's just like, man, it's
not flowing.
It's there, but it's not tall enough to ride yet. You know,
it's not flowing.
Yeah.
Well, I think right now we're gonna take a commercial break, a quick little break.
Dig it.
Yeah, and then come back.
Oh yeah, sounds like a plan, man.
Yeah. You want to create your own podcast? Well, I'll tell you how we did ours. We used Anchor. Anchor is an easy way to make a podcast. Anchor gives you everything you need in one place for free, which you can use right from your computer or phone. They give you creative tools allowing you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great. They'll distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. So if you want to start your own podcast, use Anchor. That's what we did. Okay, and we're back.
Oh yeah, man.
So, talking about music, I feel like we could talk forever about it, but there's also a lot of things that have to do other than just the music. There's obviously the scene and the whole legwork that goes behind it, and maybe some bands don't get, you know. So the whole promoting yourself, right?
Shameless self-promotion.
Talking about it constantly, right?
Yeah.
All these things, and there's obviously like a scene which always helps bands grow because there's always something. Friends
can talk about the good time they had, whatever night they had, you know, and it starts getting buzz in that sense.
Yeah.
When the music's rocking, you remember it. You have a good time.
What do you think the scene's like here in Austin, to you, anyways, from what you've seen? I mean,
it's the same as it ever was. It's just because there's so many more people in general. It feels like it got diluted in that sense, because people who should be going out to see music, they are, but there's so much other things to do.
There's always
there's always something, always somewhere, and that gets it hard to do that. And you want to see friends in this band, but you're also playing that night at some other place too, so that will happen.
I can never see my friends' bands.
And we always play everywhere around. You're always playing in Austin, which is good to play and get your stuff out there and promotion. And it's healthy in that sense, because there's definitely people who love the live music and love getting down and hanging out with everybody and just having fun ultimately. So that's the positive of it. You know, it's just not as big as it once was, and I feel like that's the classic, you know, thing. Back in the old Austin, well, everybody has an old Austin.
Everyone always says that.
You know, but I mean, there was a point.
Channel's changing.
Yeah, you know, there was more people doing some stuff, but the band's changed, and that's just like any scene. Like the songs and the styles are always going to change. People are going to come and go. So people who were here back in the day, they went to some other town, Denver, or wherever the hell they went to, right? And back to California. Although that's not happening.
I'm moving to Seattle.
Yeah, you're going to Seattle. See, there you go. So that takes part of the scene. So it takes new people always doing that, and I mean, it's definitely there, and the people who are out there know what's up, and I feel like it's having a renaissance again, where the photos that you're going to see all across these shows, people are going to look back and be like, man, we should have been there. You know what I mean? Like,
I always feel that way when I see pictures from the night.
Like CBGB's in the 70s, right? You look at that, think about it was just a dive bar. You went and saw this shit band as far as what people thought music tastes in those days, you know?
Like, yeah, this place is dirty.
Yeah, that place is dirty. Nobody went on the off days. But then you see a picture and it was like you saw the Talking Heads on a early Talking Heads show. And you're there and it's like, to be in that era, that time, well, that's happening again. It's just, you know, are you in it? Are you being a part of it, you know, or do you want to see it 10 years down, 20 years down, and photos of it, right?
True. And get out there.
It's
get out there, folks. Go to more shows. Go to more shows.
You know, get some shoes so you can get the feet on the ground and get out there and
get your dancing shoes.
And I guess that's the thing, you know, the scene is out there. There are so many more people. There's so much more entertainment things to get you, and then during South by, you used to be where, you know, it's just the undercover bands in general, not just from Austin, but all over the world. But now it's just like they're only looking for a certain sound, and the big artists are coming here too. Like I had to compete against a free Garth Brooks show one night. Like, you gonna get anybody out in Texas? You gonna get anybody out? Even your friends are like, man, I can see you next week. This is a free Garth Brooks show, man. I gotta go. You got so much out there, so you get people spread out, which is why you need to promote yourself, so at least people are seeing you and have a reason to want to go to your shows. And they see you. You're seeing your name at least. You know, they're seeing it
constantly.
Always.
Yeah.
And that's I think that's really the reason why you need to promote it, and that's what then people go out to see it, and then that's the scene, and it creates itself. It gets back in that renaissance.
So do you think that's like the best thing to do, is just play everything that you're offered, or to like take your time in between shows to kind of build more, you know, response from it?
Both work. You can play as much you can if you can, obviously, and I would love to play more and only do, you know, just music every night, you know, until I can find enough venues to do that and at least get my bills paid that way. You know, I can't play every night and take every one, you know what?
Yeah, it's really hard.
It gets in that sense. So
when you work
do want
nights,
people to miss you, so you have people a reason to go to the show too. Having said that, to play every night, you expose yourself to new audiences, you get a few new fans, you play with other bands that you then set up future bigger events with a better showcase somewhere where you can really get the crowds that you're wanting. Because I mean, if you're playing 5 times and you're going to do in essence the same 5, you know, shows, you know, they're not going to be any different from one another. So, you know, why is everybody going to come to that same one all the time? You want to make it special for when they see you. So there's a little bit of both. But you got to get good. You got to play.
Playing all the time does get you really tight and just perfect with the people around you. Yeah. I mean, practicing by yourself can only go so far.
Yeah, and you need to do you know, maintenance and whatnot.
I mean, it's hard to like get a group of people each week together to practice, let alone play 4 times out of the week, you know, because it can come down to that, like where there's a show every single night and venues need to fill spots, and they'll ask you, you know, and it's like, I mean, we should, I'm not sure, right?
Yeah, and some of them too, you know, some venues are not always, the squeeze isn't there in a sense, where they don't do any kind of promotion. They don't have any kind of draw.
They kind of leave it up to the bands to kind of bring that.
The band has to do that. They don't tell you how the payout's going to work, and like, okay, it's good to play and see what happens, but some of them just aren't worth. Life's too short, at the end of the day too. You don't want to be spinning your wheels at some place. I mean, you'll learn your lessons, they'll build your calluses, but it's not beneficial ultimately. You could have waited, took that particular show off to build more of a weight in between
more anticipation.
More anticipation towards the strong shows to really give your best. Because some of those shows too, if the energy isn't into it and somebody in the band isn't feeling it and it just seems slower, you sounded like shit too. So but that's also my analytical side too. Maybe
that's us thinking. Yeah, we're thinking like musicians, and we're thinking about our situation as of right now. Yeah, which I think
each band's different.
Bands playing constantly, I think they get looked at as like hardworking bands, in that they're willing to do whatever it takes to get this going. So that's what gets them the bigger shows, gets their name out there more. Because like you said, the more you see it, the more you see it, the more you see it.
They're playing every night in a different town. That's a horse another color.
That's true too.
So, and that's the difference. Why play 5 nights in Austin so much? If you could do 5 nights around or even on a tour, that's playing every night. I mean, that's the dream. That would be great in a sense, mentality, But that's a horse another color. That you do want to play as much as you can if you can pull it off, right?
Yeah. If people keep seeing that name, then you will bring it up. You're like, I'm
places,
in this band.
Different regions,
I've heard of that.
Different people being exposed to your music and getting the live experience, and I think that's the big thing. Like seeing bands live. I mean, the records are great, and you want to sell a record at the show and, make money that way and, like, sell it, but you want to give them a live show. You want to give them the experience. They're coming out to a show. They could see a movie. They could do this, so why not give them a show? And with the BANGover stuff, like the one we did at the Lost Well recently with the Dead Coats album release, like, all the bands, they brought a show. Like, it was its own movie essence. You started out with Old Creepy.
Those bands think about it.
Who had an awesome stage presence, who did their stuff, Telescope, Microscope, they got to the point, they slayed everybody, they rocked out, got everybody feeling good, and then Dead Coats just came out like heavyweights, feeling the birthday love, feeling, all this stuff, and
slamming, rolling around,
giving a hell of a live experience, and that's what people will remember, create the scene, do its own promotion, and give you great photos to do your promotion with, right? And then you are playing everywhere, every night. Does it make you a millionaire? No, but it's sustaining your true life. You know what I mean? That's the fucking...
Feels good.
That's where it's at. And that's the thing. Like, if you're going to play live, you want to bring the show, and you don't want to just give a half-ass kind of thing, because that can ruin all those months of momentum you had before that, just in one.
No matter if there's one person in the crowd, it's the same show if there's a million people in the crowd.
And rock that one person out. I mean, and they'll tell a story, of this one time how it was just, I was getting drunk, this band was playing, and then it turns out to be, Lowdown and Out and shit,
Story you want to hear, sitting in a bar one day.
Yeah, exactly, Why not? We get those shows. It'll happen.
I mean, we definitely, so many shows that we have coming up. You know what I mean? So
staying busy on it.
Always the opportunity, to fail and make it better.
Yeah, make it better. And also, I mean,
if we're gonna fail, do it right.
New fan, somebody who hasn't heard us, and
we just make one. That's all that matters. Right?
It builds up, and I mean, it's just rock and roll stuff. So you get fans all the time on that.
True.
Oh yeah, man.
True. So, when you decided to play music, was it like you picked this style because you like this style, or did it kind of like just pick you?
Both. Both in the sense that I always had I'm a rocker, like I like to do just that old essence rock and roll, but modernize it in a sense, do it my way with my twist on it, but I naturally kind of got a flow to it. I naturally have like a blues, soul, rock kind of style, and I find easier in that sense to like really get it out in that sense. You know, I'm not trying to write metal stuff because I'm not metalhead in that sense. Like I dig badass music.
Yeah.
You know, if it's good music, I'm going to dig it. But I can't be saying like I'm the metalhead and this. You know, so that's why I'm not writing songs like that, because that's not what I'm creating. Somebody else does it a lot better. Let them do it. You know, I want to hear what they have to do. You know, so there's that. And I was a big fan early on, like of the Rolling Stones and Aerosmith. I like the
Always
Black
talk about
Crowes.
Aerosmith.
Yeah, early Aerosmith,
Crowes,
man. I mean, granted,
ugh.
this is what happens, Jimmy died young. We didn't get to see him in his, cleaned up, I gotta get better stage, and I mean, imagine what he would have been in like the '80s, Rick James style and whatnot.
Do you think it would have been like a disappointment?
That's the thing.
Like
if
the
you
Kurt
get
Cobain thing,
or Chuck Berry, right?
Yeah.
Like he was great, and then it was like, oh,
you lived too long.
Yeah, you kind of, sometimes that happens too, And God bless that Aerosmith is still living, man. Steven Tyler, God, man, I love him. Joe Perry is an idol, and that kind of stuff, right? And that early stuff was really the 70s, early 80s. That was like what I listened to on vinyl, and that style, and Zeppelin and all that. And I just like really awesome guitar riffs, solos, killer drum beats, bringing it down, a bass that's driven in there. I mean, if we could get a keyboard, that would be cool, or even another guitar player that would, do rhythm, and we could even expand more. That's awesome. But like that kind of rock and roll always got me, and Tom Petty and whatnot, and that kind of songwriter and that kind of approach to it, where I mean, they don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just gotta make it rock.
You think like Ozzy's solo career did it best, right? Just rock hit after rock. They could have been pop songs if you would have just taken out all that
pop songs,
crazy,
really, right?
If you took out all that awesome, crazy guitar solo stuff, they would essentially just been a pop song of that time. They're so catchy.
The way it's structured and whatnot, and and the hooks that he has,
so many
the
good
chorus.
So many songs.
Mama's gonna worry. I've been a bad boy.
And the king of the ballads, apparently, always got to have at least one, at least.
Well, that was
a lot
also
of times there's two. The older
the '80s
more.
rule of thumb, right? You had your ballad,
right? Yeah.
And then you had your fucking we're a rock band, we rock, and the fucking wailing solo to let them know you're not a pussy from the ballad, and you couldn't be too soft on the ballad because you're like, man, are you crying in your song?
Yeah. Wait.
You crying?
Do we, as a band, have a ballad in your mind?
No. And the ballad that we do have is a B-side. Is that Sunflower, right? But that's not like a ballad. We should write one, do a duet with somebody on the scene, Lita Ford and Ozzy style. Close my eyes forever.
I'm gonna absolutely hate it, but I'm there. I'm playing drums. But it's not about my opinion.
Think of the big picture.
Drummer.
Music video. It's on a Time Life compilation, like in 20 years or something like that. People are getting laid because of this song, right? I just 3 reasons off the top of my head of why to do it.
I'm just worried that it might be our biggest song.
Yeah, and you have to play it every time, and it's like, oh. Like a double-edged sword. Yeah, what are you famous for? This one, and you turn into like Nickelback or something like that. And everybody hates you.
Yeah, we're
never
expected to write more songs like that.
Yeah, and you have to do that.
Yeah,
I don't know. It works for Michael Bolton and whatnot.
Well, I think if you just become clever with it, that's the greatest thing about bands nowadays. This is the best time to live when it comes to music, because you have people that are doing like maybe a softer ballady thing, but adding in so many different things into it.
Timer.
Just shouldn't have done that. I tried to put it on silence a long time ago. It's not working.
New phones.
No, we still got a few minutes.
Oh yeah, man.
I think the last thing I wanted to ask you was, a super fan of wrestling.
Yeah.
Like you can point out, you retain all the information.
If there was like a degree in that sense, I would definitely be somewhere else in life. Yeah.
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 Just we could have had a whole podcast just talking about wrestling.
We should add one on BANGover. I mean, it sounds like it's a wrestling.
It sounds
theme.
like something you want to do.
Yeah, it is. Yes, I'm going to pitch it right now.
That's why I was putting you in charge of the underground wrestling. If we ever do that, I'm like, that's you.
I want to do a wrestling event sometime where you have bands in between like matches and tournament. Find out who
Rhea,
is
drag queen show.
Yeah.
Chris comedy show, and we
just
could
have
add in music.
Queen wrestling event.
Now we're thinking.
Yeah.
Now we're thinking.
Yeah. So I mean, if anybody sees
that's copywritten because it's recorded. Yeah. You cannot steal our idea.
And wants to get involved in it, we'll have a tournament style, and we'll
High
see
heels
who's
wrestling.
the champ. Yeah.
We might have to get insurance first.
You know what? That's true, but
we'll have them sign an affidavit.
Yeah, a waiver, right? They signed the waiver. It's legal. Write it on a napkin.
It's like every work party event. We always have to sign one of those.
Yeah.
It's like, if you get hurt.
Yeah. If you break a finger on this
having a good time.
Have too good of a time. That's on you.
That's on you. That's your bill, man.
Yeah.
You signed the waiver. I wanted to ask, out of all the wrestling you've ever watched, you love every single era of it. What was probably your favorite match? Just iconic. Maybe not your favorite, but the one that stands out maybe more so in your mind. Something you think about quite a bit.
Depends on the era. For a couple different reasons. Because same with like, if you ask me who's your favorite band, it's like I can't just name one. But out of like my mind, I really dig the late 80s, early 90s era of wrestling. Doesn't matter if it was WCW or WWF. Anything Macho Man did was the cream of the crop, man. That was the best. Ooh, yeah. He's my favorite out of that, and like even he lost it, but the match with Hogan at WrestleMania 5, because it was the Mega Powers. They were awesome. Clashing. It was that perfect era. It happens to be at Trump Plaza, which is kind of weird in the hindsight, of what we know now.
It really is. There's a lot of weird.
You got the president just watching.
There's a lot of stories.
The Mega Powers exploding, which
he showed up to a lot of wrestling matches. Didn't he do some moves at one point?
He's in Hall of Fame, man.
Yeah, he's like got up there and been slammed.
In the Hall of Fame of it. Yeah. So, that's one of them. Then you get to like Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels era. WrestleMania 14, like that 96 to 99 era was pretty fun. I always dug that, and Undertaker, Mankind stuff. That was great, and I got to see Bret Hart versus Ric Flair back in like '92 and whatnot, and I dig Bret Hart now, but I wasn't a fan of him after this match. He won it, but I felt slighted because he would always give the glasses out to people, right? And I was a big Bret Hart fan, and I'm there at the edge. I go all the way up to him, and he's coming to me, and I'm like, this is it. He's going to give me the glasses. He gives it to the person right next to me. And I was like, man, fuck you, Bret Hart. I hope Ric Flair wins. He didn't. But ever since then, but, it is what it is. He's great now, but I mean, yeah.
He
but I gotta see that. You. Yeah, but that was also one of my favorite matches. I got to see it live and get down. Ric Flair, I mean, the best. The best.
Mine was Hogan versus The Undertaker. I was just a child, but I was fascinated by The Undertaker.
When Taker won the championship?
I remember him like in the leg bar, like just taking it and reaching for the urn, and his manager just over there smiling because, you had to destroy the urn to destroy the Undertaker.
That was his power.
That was his power. Yeah, you couldn't defeat him.
That was like
no matter
Paul
how
Bearer was a protector, and you could beat him down, but he's deaf, man. He's coming to get you.
Exactly. That's why he was like so cool. I only cared about that. Yeah.
You'll never beat death. He's one of my favorites, and you get like a Mount Rushmore. You got like Andre, you got Taker, you got Macho Man, and then Flair. That's my four.
That's your four now, Hogan?
Mount Rushmore. Hogan, it's fine. I liked him a
Chris
lot
Benoit,
more when I was younger.
He was one of my favorites. He was one of my favorites.
I mean,
I loved him. I loved him so much when I watched him on WCW.
Is pretty good, isn't he?
So
the human,
good.
Well, that last little part got a little shady there, but I mean, that's also, I mean,
That's why we can have a
years of
podcast on
abuse,
this, right?
Years of abuse. Yeah, we can talk about the dark side of the ring. You know, have our own dark side series. You know, and talk about. There's enough to talk about.
For hundreds of episodes,
yeah.
I'm sure of it.
And even the indies. Think of the unknown stories of people who never made it. Right.
Oh, there's some
But
good
they were a
ones.
wrestler, and they were like in Nashville. You know, back in the '80s, never made it, but you know, had a good time doing it. You know, got them laid. Right.
At least once.
At least once, you know.
And that's why we do this, people.
Yeah.
All right.
Everybody
Well,
gets laid.
thanks for doing this. Obviously.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.